while at the same time promoting his latest film, The King's Speech, about the eccentric Australian who cured the stammer of King George VI. I spoke with Geoffrey Rush at the Belvoir this week. Geoffrey Rush, you're in your 60th year. You've done it all by any acting standard, and you seem to be working as hard as ever, if not harder. Are you working as hard as it sounds, or is it illusory?
Look, it's partly illusory, but I am aware the last 2 years I've probably been hammering it, burning it a bit at both ends. Mainly because fabulous stuff came along, and I've started to get engaged more and more with a little more conscious creative control.
When was The King's Speech shot?
The script was plopped onto my doorstep in the beginning of 2008. So the turnaround on it was quite quick. I declined the offer to be in the play for logistical reasons and whatever. But I phoned my LA agent and said, look, I've just read this extraordinary story. You may or may not have heard of the fact that George VI had this debilitating stammer. I knew all of that history. I had no idea about this guy called Lionel Logue, who's the kind of a failed Australian Shakespearean actor from the 1920s, 1930s, who, because of his elocution work and the fact that he loved doing recitals of poetry readings and whatever, he knew about the voice and he knew about breathing. And when all the shell shock victims were coming back through Perth and into Adelaide in the First World War, everyone sort of said, hey, Lionel, you know a bit about this. These blokes can't talk, you know. Can you help them out? And he started to develop, through diaphragmatic breathing and releasing tension, etc., and the beginnings of a sort of, I suppose, embryonic Freudian psychoanalysis. He started to help a hell of a lot of people. So he went to England, I think, partly to want to become an actor, but ended up putting his shingle up on Harley Street. Well, please don't do that.
I'm sorry?
I believe sucking smoke into your lungs will kill you.
My physicians say it relaxes the throat.
They're idiots.
They've all been knighted.
Makes it official, then.
He was quite capable of and determined to actually take on the king at a certain level.
Ah, yes. Well, I certainly knew, however he sounded, or whatever kind of, you know, Australian or cultural manner he might have had, I knew that there had to be this rather breezy, egalitarian, there's no bullshit here, Mr. King, you know, because part of his therapy was he knew that unless the patient really committed to wanting to tackle the stammer, that he would never have the results that he knew he could achieve, that he had achieved with kids in the East End or returned soldiers or whatever. So getting the king to come to his rooms, and the basic rule was, this is my castle, my turf, my rules. And his methods were, for the time, I mean, now they're highly regarded as standard practice. But there were lots of breakdown games of, you know, physically loosening people up in a way that a royal who would be living under the 5-pace rule that no one's allowed within 5 meters of them or to touch them.
And up comes Her Royal Highness, and slowly exhale, and down comes Her Royal Highness.
All right, Bertie. It's actually quite good fun.
Mother. Shorten the humming each time. Mother.
Manufacturing.
The theatre was where it all started for you in Brisbane 40 years ago. Last year, you climbed one of theatre's great pinnacles with a Tony Award for Exit the King on Broadway. Will you